Our journey starts in Halifax, then stretches right across Canada, from east to west, from the Atlantic to the Pacific. The call of the North rings in our ears. In July 1749, Edward Cornwallis and a large group of settlers built a fortified settlement here. Thus, Halifax became a well-defended community. Lying in a deep, well-defined bay on the Atlantic coastline, the capital of Nova Scotia possesses one of the most beautiful natural harbours in the world. The destiny of both the city and the entire province has always been strongly associated with the sea. In the last years of the Second World War, more than 17,000 ships were anchored in this bay. Fishing was the main industry. When it came to the building of sailing ships, Nova Scotia was supreme. But the invention of the steamship brought a sudden end to its maritime power. The Maritime Museum stirs up memories of the most catastrophic demise of history's greatest ship. The Titanic sank off the coast of this peninsula. On the city's hill, the Citadel was built, with a wonderful view of the harbour. This defensive area acted as a protection against land attacks. Observing military tradition, each day at 12 noon, soldiers in 19th century uniform prepare to fire a cannon from the Citadel's fortified wall. Ville de Quebec is the capital of the likewise named province of Canada. In this European-orientated city on the St. Lawrence River, French is the main language. In 1608, Samuel de Champlain established a centre for the fur trade, which is referred to as the cradle of French America. The world-famous Chateau Frontenac, with its characteristic small towers and green glimmering roofs, majestically overlooks the city. This massive building with its richly decorated interiors is the city's best-known landmark. Opened in 1894, this castle-style hotel was built by order of the Canadian Pacific Railway on the location of the former governor's residence of Fort St. Louis. The luxury hotel surrounds the Terrasse du Forain, a promenade with an overwhelming view over the St. Lawrence River. In 1832, construction of La Citadel was completed, a massive fortress which stands on a rock 100 meters high. A billy goat serves as mascot to the 22nd Regiment of the Canadian military. The former gunpowder storeroom was set up as a military museum. In this military complex, 300 soldiers were ordered to defend North America's northeastern side. Thick star-shaped walls, ramparts and trenches protected the quarters of the generals, the officers and the soldiers. A round trip on a horse and carriage, known here as a caleche, is a must for visitors. From the old part of the city, past the Parliament buildings. In the upper part of the old city extend the wide-ranging government quarters of Quebec province. The character of the buildings, and also various villas, are reminiscent of Parisian building styles. The historic Saint Louis Gate, close to the Citadel, cuts through the well-maintained city wall. The lower-lying Port Kent was also an important entrance to the old city. In 1690, the French set up a strategic base here, and the British later turned it into a military arsenal. The city was at its zenith in the 19th century. Steamships connected Montreal with the city of Quebec. Art and culture were introduced. The striking house of François Xavier Garneau, the charm of its Victorian furniture, magnificent books, and a wonderful view over the city's rooftops. From here, adventurous expeditions set off upstream to the province of Ontario, and also into the northern wilderness, in which attempts were made to convert the native inhabitants to the Christian faith. The Catholic Bishop's Church, Cathedral Notre-Dame de Quebec, was built in 1844, from plans by the builder Basilica. The overwhelming beauty of the dome and the main nave not only impress all who come here, but also demonstrate the religious belief of its congregation and the charm of bygone days. The mystical and natural artistic influences of Canada's native inhabitants, the Inuits, contribute to the extraordinarily strong impression imparted by these works. One can almost feel the presence of the original artists. In 1793, the Cathedral of the Holy Trinity was built, the oldest Anglican church outside the British Isles, and adapted from St. Martin in the Fields. The funicular, a tram, travels from the upper to the lower part of the city, to the Quartier Petit Champlain. The Place Royale, named after King Ludwig XIV, is the oldest square in Quebec. And built in 1688, the small, lovingly restored church of Notre-Dame des Victoires is the city's oldest religious building. Missionaries preached evangelism. Trappers hunted in endless forests. Explorers searched for a route to China and India. They all spread French tradition. In Montreal, Canada's second largest city, the massive Basilica, the Oratory of Saint-Joseph, is a sight worth seeing. In this, one of the most important centres of pilgrimage, the miracle healer, Brother André, was buried. This charming French-style area of the city lies between the harbour and the modern banking quarter. In recent years, numerous old buildings have been restored. In 1535, Jacques Cartier took possession of the area from the French king, and in 1642, Montreal was founded. The new Gothic-style residence of Canada's first Prime Minister, Sir George Etienne Cartier, revives the atmosphere of the 19th century. Near to the old market, between narrow streets and small houses, is the city's oldest church, a place of prayer for sailors. From the church tower, the views over the old city and via Port are breathtaking. At the old fire station in the Place de Youville, one of the oldest marketplaces in Montreal, is the Centre d'Histoire, a museum dedicated to the history of the city. The Basilica of Notre Dame portrays the historic centre of the city. Wood carvings, colourful glass windows, an impressive altar with an illuminated domed ceiling, and a neo-Gothic double-tower facade which dates from 1829. The world's second largest Francophile city is a fascinating mixture of old and new. Next to the Basilica is the oldest stone building in Montreal. The vast area along the old harbour, which used to be the most important on the St. Lawrence River, was made into a lavish leisure centre. Entertainment is always guaranteed. The Great River can be navigated on the Bateau Mouche, past old storage warehouses, and to the modern residential area designed by the architect Moshe Safdie, and the mirrored dome of the Biosphere, which was built for the Expo, always accompanied by the impressive Montreal skyline. Le Tour Olympique, Montreal's Leaning Tower. Since its opening, more than 3 million people, with the help of the funicular, conquered the 175-metre tall viewing platform. An external cabin takes visitors rapidly to the top. Strong nerves are called for as Mother Earth quickly slips away. The Olympic Stadium, which is reminiscent of a giant shell, is still used today as a multi-purpose hall. It can accommodate 80,000 visitors. The Biodome was built next to the stadium as an environmental museum, designed to bring people closer to nature. Here, there are exotic animals from different regions of the world, between waterfalls and tropical forests, as well as in Arctic aquariums. The highlight of the Botanical Gardens, the second largest in the world, is without doubt a perfect copy of a Chinese garden from the Ming Dynasty, with ponds and pergolas. The Square Saint-Louis, with its renovated, elegant Victorian houses, is a meeting place for young and old. The neo-Gothic Christ Church is towered over by huge skyscrapers. This huge Anglican cathedral exudes holiness. Next to the church is one of many entrances to the underground city. Cool in summer, snow-free and warm in winter. Montreal's inhabitants venture from ground level and make their way down here. An iron cross stands on Montreal, the city's most formal park. Today, Montreal is a pulsating city, but there's no hectic pace here, and freedom seems to be unrestrained. When other Canadian cities sleep, here the party's only just beginning. European charm and the American way of life. A successful combination. In Native American, Toronto means meeting place. And this is the exact impression given by the capital of Ontario Province. The entire world united in a multicultural city. Giant skyscrapers and noisy streets. Here, many Canadian banks and multinational companies had their palatial offices of steel and glass built in what was once a waterfront wilderness. In the middle of the last century, the city was flooded by immigrants, and a relatively small part of the old city has been laid out like a chessboard. Old and new exist side by side, and it's the many varied cultures of its cosmopolitan population which makes this Canadian city so attractive. Losing one's bearings is always a possibility in the hidden city. Beneath much of the financial district stretches the world's largest underground complex, with more than 1,000 shops, restaurants, and an underground railway system. On the perimeter of the old city, the historic British fortress Fort York was built in 1793 by Captain John Grave Simcoe. The CN Tower, at a height of 530 meters, is the highest freestanding building in the world. In less than a minute, the lift ascends 335 meters to the viewing platform. Not everyone dares to take a somewhat timid look through the glass floor, down to absolute zero. But then there are always those who are daring enough to take a memorable photo. The overwhelming view across the ocean of houses, skyscrapers and Lake Ontario certainly satisfies the 2 million tourists who come here each year. The Sky Dome is the massive stadium of the Blue Jays baseball team. A multi-purpose building with an extendable roof which can be opened and closed as necessary. The Sky Dome Hotel has views overlooking the inner part of the stadium. A round trip on a double-decker bus through the skyscraper ravines of the business districts is considered to be one of the most spectacular experiences of any city safari. Today, Toronto accommodates the largest Chinese population in Canada and the greatest concentration of Italians outside Italy. Toronto is booming as never before. Boasting 98 rooms, an eccentric millionaire had the palace-like Casa Loma built for himself. If there is one place in the world that serves as a melting pot for different cultures, it is Canada's largest city, Toronto, with a population of nearly 5 million. South of the Royal Ontario Museum extends the ample and well-tended Queen's Park. The park is dominated by the neo-Gothic buildings of the Ontario Parliament and the vast expanse of the university area. The bus journey continues, back into the city centre, to the sidewalk hustle and bustle of downtown. Toronto's harbour front is modern, but at the same time idyllic. Whether boulevards, yacht harbour or restaurants, everything is first class. The people love their city on Lake Ontario, which is reflected by their love of life. On no account must one exclude an excursion to nearby Niagara Falls, which lies between Lake Erie and Lake Ontario on the Canadian-American border. Up until 10,000 years ago, the major mass of North America was buried under glaciers. Fed by large lakes, only toward the end of the Ice Age did the Niagara River emerge, flowing over the Niagara Plateau into this deep-set region. The expression Niagara is of Indian origin and means thundering water. Nearly 6 million litres of water plunge from it each second. In calm weather, a cable rail gondola crosses the mighty swirling waterfall. From a height of 50 metres and with a huge roar, powerful masses of water crash down into the depths below. Those who dare climb down precarious and slippery steps through the all-engulfing mist. Moving close to the waterfall, a trip on the Maid of the Mist is a magnificent experience. Here, the tremendous power of the water is awesome. There are numerous impressive waterfalls in the world, but few compare with Niagara. It has also become a classic honeymoon paradise, and many newlyweds visit Niagara Falls on their honeymoon. From Toronto, the famous train, the Canadian, begins its long journey to the west, over the Rocky Mountains to Vancouver on the Pacific Ocean. The train is a memorable experience for its well-pampered passengers. Designed 1950s style, the nostalgic train boasts a magnificent restaurant on rails. Impressive, dreamy landscapes pass by. Infinite forests and glimmering blue lakes as far as the eye can see. Panoramic glass carriages with a raised upper deck ensure a wonderful view of nature both day and night. Top chefs and good food are an important feature of the journey, and 3 times a day the most amazing delicacies appear on the tables of the dining car. Even in the rain, the romance of the railway enchants us on our journey on the legendary Silver Snake. At the isolated station of Sioux Lookout, the train halts at one of the few stops it makes. This is still pioneer country. The journey continues past huge grain warehouses and endless freight wagon convoys. After 10 hours, we arrive in the city of Winnipeg, the next station on our route west. The journey into the evening is particularly relaxing, when the sky slowly changes color. Three times a week, the Canadian with its 30 wagons, 2 locomotives, and total length of more than a kilometre winds its way westwards, through endless cornfields, closer and closer to massive mountains. Just beyond Edmonton is another short stop, at which the skyline bids farewell to the train. Now the most beautiful stage of the train journey begins. The Rocky Mountains beckon. Slowly, the Canadian pulls into Jasper. Indian totem poles and bear-like figures welcome us. The Rocky Mountains, a gigantic mass of rock which stretches 4,500 kilometres from Alaska to Mexico, right through North America. A unique example of nature conservancy at its best. Over a hard rock wall of quartz sandstone, the Athabasca Falls sends thundering masses of water with indescribable force to the depths below. Dark ravines with almost vertical rock walls devour the incredible might of these natural elemental forces. Not far away, the Sunwapta River abruptly changes course, and with a foaming roar flows over a wild cascade into a deep ravine. The water accumulates from mountain glaciers and flows clearly and cleanly into three oceans: the Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Arctic. Over the Icefields Parkway, the dream road of the Rockies, the journey takes us to the Columbia Icefield. A shuttle bus drives us close to the huge glacier, and we continue in a special large-wheeled vehicle, right up to the Eternal Ice Glacier. Although in the past 300 years it has reduced in size, at a length of 900 meters, this is the largest glacier mass in the Rocky Mountains. The Hotel Chateau Lake Louise is situated on Canada's most famous mountain lake, at the foot of the 3,464-metre high Mount Victoria. Slowly, the gondola ascends Mount Whitehorn, which offers a beautiful panoramic view of the valley below. In 1885, the Canadian government placed a conservation order on this mountain landscape. Located at the far end of the valley, Moraine Lake is difficult to get to. However, once there, the crystal clear water and wild canoe rides makes it all worthwhile. The luxurious railway hotel, Chateau Lake Louise, is a reminder of the glorious pioneering days of the past. These far-flung regions could only be reached by train. The railway line marked the beginning of the tourist era. Here, nature remains untouched. Majestic mountain ranges, deep green glacier lakes, mountain goats, elks and bears. By boat, we crossed the Maligne Lake, the largest glacier lake in the Rockies, to a well-known photographic image, Spirit Island, surrounded by superb mountains. Vancouver, the pearl of Canada, located beside the Pacific Ocean. A young city of joie de vivre, with captivating charm and European flair. The third largest city in Canada is one of the most beautiful on the American continent. A dynamic metropolis in a beautiful location with mild weather throughout the year. Close to the harbour area, the city's skyscrapers have proliferated in the last few years. The capital of the southwest province of British Columbia has developed into an economic centre of renown. Because fire destroyed the wooden houses of old Vancouver, its oldest buildings date back less than a century. In 1999, the city's new library opened, built in the style of the Colosseum of Rome. The Canada Place is located in the busy centre of the new harbour and is also the city's most recent landmark. Cruise liners from all over the world dock next to the snow-white canvas roof of the covered pier. Only a few steps away, a skylift leads up to the harbour centre's viewing platform. The view over the city, the harbour and the bay is amazing. All the most important areas of the city can be reached with the monorail SkyTrain. the glass ball of Science World houses today's Technical Museum. The Plaza of Nations, situated at False Creek, is a reminder of Canada's Expo of the 1990s.
Aquabus, our journey crosses False Creek, skirts the city skyline, passes Granville Island, and goes to the far end of English Bay. Located in the center of a fountain, George Norris designed a huge metal crab which guards the planetarium. West of the inner city lies the vast Stanley Park, the green lungs of the city, and public leisure area. A horse and carriage is a comfortable way to explore the park. These colourfully painted totem poles derive from different Indian tribes on Canada's northwest coast. The City Council has gradually acquired these cult objects over many years. The road returns past the bronze statue of the Swimming Girl and Lions Gate Bridge, once the city's largest suspension bridge. For the World Exhibition in 1986, on the edge of Chinatown, landscape gardeners and craftsmen from Suzhou in China established Canada's first classical Chinese garden, the Dr. Sun Yat-sen Garden. Vancouver's Chinatown is a fascinating exotic world. After San Francisco, it is the largest of its kind in North America. Victorian buildings are supplemented with Chinese building styles. The streets of Chinatown frequently vibrate to festive processions with colourful kites and Chinese orchestras. Yaletown's old houses have been modernized and reoccupied. Gastown is the name of Vancouver's oldest quarter. Lovingly restored brick buildings from Victorian times. And the famous steam clock that hoots every 15 minutes. When he opened the first saloon for thirsty workers here in 1867, Gassy Jack, John Dayton, became the original founder of Gastown. Here one can reminisce about the city's original inhabitants and the formative days of this wonderful place. Vancouver is an endearing city. Here the journey comes to an end,
right across the North American continent, from the wild east coast through endless tranquil forests, across modern cities, into the natural wilderness of the last remaining natural paradise on Earth, to a dream city on the Pacific. Canada, land of boundless horizons, country of beautiful contrasts,